The air in our living room is thick and cold, like the inside of a tomb. Every object, the leather sofa we picked out together, the abstract painting I bought for his 30th birthday, the heavy oak coffee table, feels like a museum artifact from a dead civilization. My civilization. Our civilization. Mark sits across from me, his posture infuriatingly relaxed. He leans back, one arm draped over the sofa, as if we're discussing the weather, not the complete and utter demolition of my life. His face, the face I've woken up to for 15 years, is a mask of detached pity. He clears his throat. The sound is like gravel grinding. "Look," he says, his voice smooth, reasonable. It's the voice he uses with difficult clients. There's no need for this to get ugly. We had a good run. A great run, even. Let's not spoil the memories by turning this into a war. My hands are clenched so tightly in my lap my knuckles are white. I can't feel them. I can't feel anything except a low, humming rage that's vibrating behind my ribs. He sighs, a theatrical display of patience. "All I'm asking," he says, leaning forward now, his eyes locking onto mine, "is that you let go. Let go gracefully.
For old time's sake."
Gracefully. The word hangs in the air between us, obscene. He wants me to pack my bags, sign his papers, and curtsy on my way out the door while he builds a new life with a younger woman in the house I decorated with the money I helped to make. He wants me to be a ghost. A polite, smiling, graceful ghost. The humming behind my ribs intensifies, and for a second, I think my heart might actually explode. If you've ever felt that cold, sharp sting of a betrayal that asks you to be polite about your own destruction, tell me about it in the comments. I read every single one. And if you're new here, please subscribe. It helps me bring more of these stories to life, more than you know. 15 years ago, our life wasn't a tomb. It was a construction site, buzzing with energy and promise. We met in college. I was a business major, all spreadsheets and 5-year plans. He was in the architecture program, all wild hair, charcoal-smudged fingers, and dreams that were too big for our tiny campus town. He didn't just want to design buildings, he wanted to design skylines. He spoke about concrete and steel the way poets talk about love. And I, the pragmatist, was completely and utterly captivated by his vision. We got married a year after graduation. We were broke. Our first apartment had a persistent leak in the bathroom ceiling and neighbors who screamed at all hours of the night. We ate instant noodles on the floor because we couldn't afford a table. It was the happiest I'd ever been. We had a plan. Or rather, I had a plan for his dream. Mark, I'd say, sitting cross-legged on the floor, my laptop balanced on my knees. "You're a genius. But genius doesn't pay the rent. We need to incorporate. We need a business plan. We need to protect your designs." He'd wave a dismissive hand, laughing. "You handle the boring stuff, Ames. You're the brains." I'm just the pretty face. He'd kiss the top of my head and go back to his drafting table, lost in a world of lines and angles that I could never enter, but I could help build a fortress around.
So I did.
I handled the boring stuff. I filed the paperwork to create Markham Designs. I wrote the business plan that secured our first small business loan. I negotiated with suppliers, managed the payroll, dealt with invoicing, and smoothed over the ruffled feathers of clients when Mark's artistic temperament got the better of him. I was the foundation, unseen and unglamorous, upon which he built his empire. And it became an empire. Markham Designs grew. We moved out of the leaky apartment and into a modest house. Then a bigger one. His name started appearing in architectural magazines. He won awards. Our boring stuff became a complex web of contracts, copyrights, and trademarks. I was meticulous. Every project, every design, every piece of branding was logged, registered, and legally shielded. Mark never asked about the details. He trusted me. My secret weapon. He'd call me at cocktail parties, squeezing my hand. He thought it was a term of endearment. I thought it was a partnership. Life was good. Comfortable. We had a rhythm. He was the sun, and I was the planet that quietly orbited him, managing the gravitational pulls, making sure nothing flew off into the void. I never wanted the spotlight. I just wanted our shared universe to be safe. I loved him. I loved the life we had built from nothing but instant noodles and a shared dream. I see now that I was so focused on the external threats, the lawsuits, the competitors, the financial downturns, that I never once thought to look for the enemy within. I was so busy building the fortress walls that I didn't notice the person I was protecting was tunneling his way out from the inside. The first crack in the foundation was almost invisible. A change in his schedule. More late nights at the office. Big project, Ames, he'd say, kissing me distractedly on the cheek. This one's a game changer. He started guarding his phone, something he'd never done before. He'd angle the screen away from me, or snap it shut if I walked into the room. When I asked about it, he laughed. Worried I'm cheating on you with a 2x4? It's just work stuff. Boring stuff. There it was again. That phrase. Only now it felt different. It wasn't a term for a partnership anymore. It was a wall. A door being quietly closed in my face. Then came the credit card bills. Dinners at restaurants we'd never been to. 2 people. Expensive wine. A hotel bill from a business trip to Napa that I hadn't known about. When I confronted him, he was a master of deflection. That was a client dinner, Amy. You know how it is. We're wooing the Henderson account, the hotel? The conference booked it. It was a last-minute thing. He was so smooth, so plausible. He made me feel like I was the crazy one. Jealous. Insecure. I started to doubt myself. Was I imagining things? Was the stress of the business getting to me? I wanted to believe him. Desperately. To believe him was to keep our world from tilting off its axis. So, I chose to believe him. I chose to ignore the cold knot of dread that was tightening in my stomach. The inciting incident, the moment the world didn't just tilt but shattered, wasn't dramatic. It was quiet, mundane. It was a Tuesday afternoon. Mark was in the shower. His phone, left on the nightstand, buzzed. And buzzed again. And again. It was a string of texts. I didn't mean to look. I've never been that person. But the screen lit up, and the preview was right there, impossible to ignore. It wasn't from a client. It was from a name I didn't recognize. Chloe. The messages were a language of intimacy that was no longer mine. Last night was incredible. Can't stop thinking about your hands, counting the minutes until we can run away to our place. I love you. I love you. The air left my lungs in a single, silent gasp. I sat down on the edge of the bed. The room felt like it was underwater. The sound of the shower was a distant roar. I picked up the phone. My hands were shaking so badly, I could barely unlock it. He used to use my birthday as his passcode. I tried it. It didn't work. I tried his birthday. Nothing. Then, a cold flash of intuition. I typed in hers. Her name was Chloe. I tried the corresponding numbers on the keypad. 2-4-5-6-3. It opened. It was all there. Months of it. A whole secret life. Photos of them in Napa, smiling, his arm around her. Her name was Chloe Bell. She was an intern at the firm. 24 years old. Younger than our marriage. There were pictures of them at a beach house. Our place, she had called it. I recognized the coastline. It was the property Mark had told me he was scouting for a new eco-resort project. A project he was using company funds to finance. But it wasn't a project. It was their love nest. The sound of the shower stopped. I didn't move. I just sat there, phone in my hand, staring at the smiling face of my husband and his lover. The man I had built a life with. The man who was using the fruits of our shared labor to build a new life with someone else. He walked out of the bathroom, a towel around his waist, humming.
He saw me. He saw the phone in my hand.
And for the first time in 15 years, the mask fell. The charming, confident Mark Markham disappeared, replaced by the panicked, guilty face of a stranger. He didn't say a word. He didn't have to. I knew. Everything was gone. The construction site was no longer buzzing with promise. It was a pile of rubble, and I was buried underneath it. The first few days after the discovery are a blur of hollow-eyed shock. I don't sleep. I don't eat. I move through our house like a ghost, touching the surfaces of my life, as if to make sure they're still real.
Mark tries to talk to me.
At first, he tries denial. It's a lie. She's obsessed with him. She's a stalker. He's the victim. The lies are so clumsy, so insulting, that they're like salt in the wound. Mark, I saw the pictures, I say, my voice flat dead. I saw the texts. I know about the beach house. The denial then shifts to minimization.
It wasn't serious, Ames. It was a mistake.
A stupid, meaningless fling. It meant nothing. Meaning nothing. The secret phone. The secret passcodes. The trips. The I love yous, the systematic dismantling of our life, funded by our company. All of it, he claims, meant nothing. He makes it sound like he tripped and accidentally fell into another woman for 6 months. When minimization doesn't work, he resorts to blame. I've been under so much pressure. You're always so busy with the books, you're not present anymore. We've been growing apart for years. Maybe a part of me did this to get your attention. I feel a flicker of rage, the first real emotion besides a soul-crushing sadness. He's trying to make his betrayal my fault. As if I, by being the competent, reliable partner who managed the entire back end of his success, had somehow driven him away. As if my competence was a flaw. He asks for forgiveness. He begs.
He cries.
They are the tears of a man who has been caught, not the tears of a man who is sorry.
I see that now.
He's not sorry for what he did. He's sorry that the comfortable, easy life he had, a loving, supportive wife at home and an adoring, exciting mistress on the side, has just imploded. I tell him I need space. I pack a bag and go to a hotel. The sterile, anonymous room is a relief. There are no memories here. No ghosts of a life that is no longer mine. For a week, I just exist. I stare at the ceiling. I watch bad television. I order room service and pick at the food. My phone buzzes constantly. It's him. It's friends, asking if I'm okay. I ignore them all. I'm in a state of suspended animation. The shock is a thick blanket of cotton, muffling the world. But slowly, the cotton starts to thin, and the pain seeps through. It's a physical thing. A deep, aching hollowness in my chest. 15 years. My entire adult life. Was any of it real? After a week, I go home. Not because I've forgiven him, but because I have nowhere else to go. The house is quiet. He's moved into the guest room. He tries to be gentle, solicitous. He makes me coffee. He asks if I've eaten. It's a performance. He's playing the part of the penitent husband. But the performance doesn't last. My silence, my refusal to just get over it, starts to grate on him. My grief is an inconvenience. My pain is a judgment. His patience wears thin. How long are you going to punish me for this, Amy? He asks one night, his voice laced with frustration. Punish you. I finally snap, the rage I've been suppressing boiling over. You think this is about punishing you? My life, our life, has been detonated, and you're worried about being punished. That's when he drops the second bomb. I want a divorce, he says, his voice cold. This isn't working. We're not working. It's over. I'm in love with Chloe. I want to be with her. It's the casual cruelty of it that takes my breath away. All the begging, the crying, it was all a sham. He hadn't been fighting for our marriage. He had been trying to see if he could keep it, but since I wasn't making it easy for him, he was ready to discard it. Just like that. The divorce proceedings begin, and the man I thought I knew vanishes completely. He is replaced by a stranger. A cold, calculating opponent. He hires a notoriously aggressive lawyer. The first offer they send over is an insult. It offers me a fraction of what I'm entitled to. It's a go-away, quietly package. They're banking on me being too emotionally distraught to fight. They're trying to erase me. Not just from his future, but from our past. His lawyer's letters frame me as a simple housewife who enjoyed the fruits of Mark's genius. They conveniently omit the 15 years I spent as the acting COO of his company. They omit the fact that my name is on the original business loans, that I was a founding partner in everything but name. Meanwhile, Mark and Chloe go public. They're seen at industry events. She's on his arm, looking radiant. He posts a picture of them on social media. A new chapter, the caption reads. They're at the beach house. Our place, my friends call. Their voices a mixture of pity and outrage. They tell me Chloe has been telling people she's the new creative partner at the firm. She's walking around the office like she owns it, giving notes on projects, sitting in on client meetings. I feel myself shrinking. The legal battle is draining. The public humiliation is excruciating. Every day is a struggle to just get out of bed. I lose weight. Dark circles form under my eyes. I look in the mirror and see a stranger. A fragile, broken woman. Mark's narrative is starting to feel true. Maybe I am just an emotional wreck. Maybe I should just take the offer and disappear. I meet with my own lawyer, a kind, older woman who looks at me with sympathetic eyes. She's competent, but she's outmatched by the shark Mark has hired. We're always on the defensive, reacting to their moves. They're burying us in paperwork, filing motion after motion to drive up my legal costs and wear me down. The pressure is immense. It feels like the walls are closing in.
Mark calls me.
His voice is that same smooth, reasonable tone he used in the living room. Amy, this is getting out of hand. The lawyers are the only ones winning here. Just take the offer. It's a good offer. You'll be comfortable. It's not a good offer, Mark, I say, my voice trembling. It's a slap in the face. It's more than fair for your role, he says, his voice hardening. My role? I built that company with you. He scoffs. A short, ugly sound. You handled the books, Amy. Let's not be dramatic. You were never in the creative meetings. You never laid a single brick. I'm the talent. I'm the brand. Without me, there is no Markham Designs. And then comes the line that will echo in my head for weeks. The line that changes everything. Just listen to me, he says, his voice softening again, trying to sound like the old Mark, the one who loved me. Let it go gracefully. For old time's sake. Don't make this ugly. Don't tarnish what we had. I hang up the phone. I sit in the silence of my lonely hotel room, and the words repeat in my mind. Let go gracefully. Let go gracefully. Gracefully. He wants me to smile while he robs me. He wants me to curate the memories of our marriage while he erases me from the present. He wants my blessing for his betrayal. And in that moment, something inside me shifts. The grief, the sadness, the heartbreak, they don't disappear, but they crystallize. They harden into something else, something cold and sharp and clear. The fog of sorrow begins to lift, and for the first time in months, I see the path forward not as a retreat, but as a battleground. He's right about one thing. He is the talent. He is the face of the brand. But he's forgotten something. He's forgotten who handled the boring stuff. He's forgotten who built the fortress. And he's forgotten that the person who builds the fortress knows exactly where all the secret doors are. The time for grace is over. My struggle is no longer just about survival. It's about justice. And I realize with a chilling certainty that I am not the one who should be afraid of this getting ugly. He is. The shift inside me is seismic. The weeping, broken woman is packed away in a box, and in her place stands someone I barely recognize. She is cold, methodical, and fueled by a righteous fury that feels like ice in my veins. The tears stop. The sleepless nights are now spent not in anguish, but in planning. My grief has become a weapon. The first thing I do is fire my kind, sympathetic lawyer. She's a good person, but I don't need a good person. I need a killer. I spend 2 days researching, making calls, and vetting the most ruthless divorce and corporate litigation attorneys in the city. I find him. His name is Julian Croft. His reputation precedes him. He's known for being a shark, a tactician who doesn't just win cases, he dismantles his opponents, piece by piece. Our first meeting is in his stark, minimalist office overlooking the city. He's sharp, dressed impeccably, and his eyes miss nothing. He listens to my story without a flicker of emotion, just taking notes on a yellow legal pad. I lay it all out. The 15 years of building the business, My unofficial role as COO, Mark's affair, the public humiliation, the insulting offer, the beach house bought with company funds. When I'm finished, he leans back in his chair. He called you his secret weapon? Julian asks, a ghost of a smile on his lips. Yes, I say. And he wants you to let go gracefully? That was his advice. Men like your husband always make the same mistake, Julian says, his voice a low, confident hum. They get so high on their own supply, so enamored with their own reflection, that they forget who's been holding the mirror. They think the boring stuff is unimportant. The boring stuff, Mrs. Markham, is where wars are won. For the first time in months, I feel a spark of hope. It's not a warm, comforting hope. It's a cold, sharp-edged thing. Julian's strategy is completely different from my previous lawyers. We stop reacting, he says. We start acting. We're no longer fighting over the divorce settlement. That's playing his game, on his turf. We are going to open a new front. We are going to attack the business. We will make his life, and his girlfriend's life, so legally and financially complicated that he will come to the table begging to give you whatever you want, just to make the pain stop. The first move is a volley of subpoenas. We demand years of financial records, emails, server logs, expense reports. We're not just looking for evidence of him spending money on Chloe. We are conducting a full forensic audit of Markham Designs under the pretense of valuing the marital assets. Julian's team of accountants begins to comb through every transaction, every line item. Mark's lawyer responds with fury, accusing us of a fishing expedition, of harassment. But the requests are legally sound. A judge grants them. The flow of information begins. While the accountants dig, Julian turns his attention to Chloe. The girlfriend, he says, is an illegal combatant. She has no official role at the company, yet she's acting as a representative. She's an amateur playing in a professional league. We can use that. He drafts a cease and desist letter. It's a work of art. It's addressed to Chloe Bell personally. It details her actions, attending client meetings, giving design directives, using company resources like the beach house for personal use. It accuses her of tortious interference, interfering with business operations, and misrepresentation. It demands she immediately cease all contact with Markham Designs clients and employees and vacate any company property. It's brutal, clinical, and utterly humiliating. We'll serve her at the office, Julian says. In front of as many people as possible. Isn't that cruel? I ask, a flicker of my old self surfacing. Julian looks at me, his expression unreadable. War is cruel, Mrs. Markham. Your husband and his girlfriend have been waging a very cruel, very public war against you for months. We are simply returning fire.
He's right.
My hesitation vanishes. Meanwhile, Mark and Chloe are living their best life. They're basking in the glow of a massive new potential project, a luxury hotel complex that would be the biggest deal in the firm's history. It's the game changer Mark had been talking about. They're in the final stages of negotiation. Securing it would solidify his post-divorce future and establish Chloe as his new muse and partner. They are arrogant, untouchable. They think the legal battle is just a nuisance, a background noise they can easily ignore while they build their new dynasty. The stress is still immense. My days are spent in meetings with Julian's team, going over documents, piecing together the timeline of Mark's deceit. It's like performing an autopsy on my own marriage. Every receipt for a romantic dinner, every hotel booking, is a fresh cut. But now, the pain has a purpose. It's ammunition. One night, buried under a mountain of files in a conference room at Julian's firm, I feel a wave of despair wash over me. It's all so much. The legal fees are piling up. Mark's lawyers are fighting us at every turn. What if this doesn't work? What if I end up with nothing but a mountain of debt? Julian walks in, holding 2 cups of coffee. He puts one in front of me. He's getting rattled, he says. His lawyer has called me 3 times today. They're trying to slow down the audit. They're scared of what we'll find. What will we find? I ask, my voice weary. We've already found it, Julian says, tapping a folder. The beach house. He didn't just use company funds for the down payment. He classified it as a research and development facility to get a massive tax write-off. That's not just a marital issue, Mrs. Markham. That's tax fraud. I stare at him. The ground is shifting beneath my feet. This is bigger than an affair, bigger than a divorce. But the real crisis for him is yet to come. Julian continues. He pulls out a different set of documents. They're old. From the very beginning. The original incorporation papers for Markham Designs. The trademark and copyright registrations. The documents I filed 15 years ago, sitting on the floor of our leaky apartment. Tell me about this, Julian says, pointing to a line. It's the ownership structure. I'm listed as a partner, but the real assets, the intellectual property, the name Markham Designs, the logo, the portfolio of work, I had, on the advice of a mentor back then, placed them into a separate holding company. A shell corporation designed to protect our most valuable assets from any potential lawsuits against the main operating business. It was a liability shield. I explained, the memory coming back to me. In case the firm got sued, the brand itself, the IP, would be safe. And who owns this holding company? Julian asks, his eyes glinting. I think back. Mark had laughed at the extra paperwork. You handle it, Ames. Whatever you think is best. He was so eager to get back to his drafting table. He signed where I told him to sign, his mind a million miles away. I had set it up simply. I was the sole officer, the sole owner. It was just a legal formality at the time, a bit of prudent planning. We were a team. His success was my success. It never occurred to me that it would ever be anything else. I look at Julian.
I whisper.
I own it. 100%. Julian Croft leans back and a slow, predatory smile spreads across his face. Well, Mrs. Markham, he says, I believe the war is over. Your husband just doesn't know it yet. He thinks he's fighting you for a piece of the company. He doesn't realize he's been a guest in your house this entire time. My world, which had been rubble, begins to reassemble itself. But the new structure is not the life I had before. It's a fortress. And I am finally in the command tower. The time for deepening crisis is over. The time for a reckoning has arrived. The plan is set. Julian calls it the decimation. It's a multi-stage maneuver designed for maximum psychological and financial impact. The first stage is the service of the cease and desist letter to Chloe. The second and final stage is the detonation of the intellectual property bomb. The timing is critical. We wait until the day of the final presentation for the massive hotel project. This isn't just another client meeting for Mark, it's his coronation. It's the project that will launch his new life with Chloe, proving to the world and to himself that he is Markham Designs, and he is better than ever without me. He's invited industry press. He's arranged for a celebratory dinner afterwards. His arrogance is a blazing sun. The morning of the presentation, I feel a strange calm. The rage and grief have settled into a dense, heavy certainty in the pit of my stomach. I'm not nervous. I'm not even excited. I feel like an actor who has rehearsed her lines 1,000 times, waiting for the curtain to rise. Julian has arranged for a process server, a stoic-looking man named Mr. Davies, to handle the delivery. The first target is Chloe. The instructions are precise. Serve her in the main lobby of the firm, a glass-walled atrium, at 9 a.m. sharp, when the office is at its busiest. I'm not there, but Julian has a source inside who gives him a play-by-play over the phone. I sit in his office, listening on speakerphone, my heart pounding a slow, steady rhythm. She's just arrived, the voice on the phone says. She's with Mark by the reception desk. They're laughing about something. I picture it. Chloe, in a chic, expensive dress, looking every bit the part of the up-and-coming creative force. Mark, beaming at her, proud. They are untouchable. Mr. Davies is approaching, the voice continues. He's walking right up to her. He just said her name. Chloe Bell. There's a pause. I can hear the faint murmur of an office in the background. She looks confused, annoyed. Mark is stepping in, asking what this is about. Davies is ignoring him. He's handing her the envelope. He's saying the words. You've been served. I close my eyes. I can imagine the scene perfectly. The sudden halt in the lobby's buzz. The heads turning. The whispers starting. Chloe's confident smile faltering as she takes the thick manila envelope. Mark's irritation turning to alarm. She's opening it. The voice on the phone whispers, excitement creeping in. She's reading the first page. Her face, oh my God. Her face has gone completely white. She looks like she's going to be sick. Mark is trying to read it over her shoulder. He's grabbing at the papers. He's yelling at Davies. Who sent you? What is this? Davies, as instructed, simply says, "My job is done," turns and walks away. She's looking around, the voice says. Everyone is staring at her. She's looking at Mark, but he's not looking at her. He's reading the letter, his face turning red. She's backing away. She's turning and walking quickly towards the elevators. No, she's running. She just ran out of the building. Stage 1 is complete. The muse has been publicly humiliated and legally neutered. The message is clear. You are not a player here. You are a liability. But that's just the opening act. The main event is scheduled for 2 p.m. in a large boardroom where Mark is set to give his career-defining presentation to the hotel developers. Julian and I are to be there in person. I dress carefully. Not in a power suit, not in anything that looks like armor. I choose a simple, elegant navy blue dress. I do my hair and makeup with meticulous care. I want to look like myself. The self he tried to erase. Calm, composed, and in control. When Julian and I walk into the Markham Designs office, the atmosphere is thick with tension. The morning's drama has spread like wildfire. Employees avert their eyes. The receptionist stammers my name. Mark is already in the boardroom with the clients, 2 stern-looking men and a woman in their 60s. Chloe is nowhere to be seen. Mark sees us enter. His face is a thundercloud of fury. He quickly excuses himself and intercepts us just outside the glass doors. "What the hell do you think you're doing, Amy?" he hisses, his voice low and vibrating with rage. "What was that this morning? You're trying to sabotage me? On the biggest day of my career? We're here for a meeting, Mark," I say, my voice even. "I don't have a meeting with you. I have a meeting with them." He jerks his head toward the clients. Get out. Get out of my office." "Actually," Julian says, stepping forward smoothly, holding up a folder. "It's our understanding that this meeting is about a proposal being made by Markham Designs as the owner of that name. My client felt it was imperative she be present." Mark stares at him. The words don't seem to register. It's like Julian is speaking a foreign language. "Owner?
What are you talking about?"
"I'm the owner. Are you?" Julian asks, his voice dangerously soft. He opens the folder and hands the top document to Mark. It's a copy of the Articles of Incorporation for the holding company, the one that owns all the intellectual property. It clearly lists me, Amy Markham, as the sole shareholder and director. Mark glances at it, his brow furrowed in confusion. He still doesn't get it. He thinks it's just another legal trick, another piece of paper in a game he's winning. "This is meaningless," he says, trying to hand it back. "On the contrary," Julian continues, his voice rising just enough to be firm. "It's the only thing that means anything. We also have a court order, effective immediately." He produces a second document. "A temporary injunction. You are hereby ordered to cease and desist from using the name Markham Designs, its associated logos, its portfolio of work, and its client lists in any and all commercial activities." Mark reads the injunction. He reads it again. The color drains from his face. The furious red is replaced by a sickly, pale white. His eyes dart from the paper to my face, then back to the paper. The confident architect, the master of the universe, is gone. In his place is a man staring into an abyss. "No," he whispers. The word is a puff of air.
"No.
This isn't possible.
The firm is me."
"The firm is a name," I say, finally speaking. My voice is quiet, but it cuts through the air. "A brand. A portfolio.
And it's all mine, Mark."
You've been operating under a license you didn't know you had. And that license is now revoked." His mouth opens and closes. No sound comes out. His entire body starts to tremble. The clients inside the boardroom are starting to look over, their expressions curious. You can't, he stammers, his eyes wide with panic. The hotel deal. I need the portfolio. I need the name. Then you should have thought of that before you decided to burn down our life. I say. There is no triumph in my voice. Just a flat, cold finality. And then it happens. The moment that will be seared into my memory forever. His bravado, his anger, his entire sense of self just collapses. It's not a physical fall, not at first. It's an internal implosion. His shoulders slump. His head drops. The legal papers slip from his trembling fingers and flutter to the floor. He makes a sound, a choked, guttural sob of pure, unadulterated despair. He stumbles back against the wall, sliding down it until he's sitting on the floor, his head in his hands. His body is racked with shuddering breaths. The great Mark Markham, the creative genius, the man who told me to let go gracefully, is sitting on the floor of his office, utterly and completely broken. The clients are now standing, staring through the glass wall at the spectacle. They see the man who was just moments ago promising to build them a landmark hotel, now reduced to a weeping heap on the floor. They see me, standing there, calm and composed. They see Julian looking like the angel of death. They don't know the story, but they know a catastrophe when they see one. One of the men opens the door. Is everything all right here? He asks, his voice wary. Julian steps forward. Mr. Markham is having an unexpected personnel issue, he says smoothly. Mrs. Markham, the actual owner of the firm, would be happy to reschedule this presentation at your convenience. Mark looks up at the mention of my name, his face streaked with tears, his eyes filled with a horrifying cocktail of hatred, disbelief, and a dawning, bottomless terror. He has lost. He hasn't just lost the divorce. He's lost everything. His company, his reputation, his future. And he's lost it all not to a graceful ghost, but to the secret weapon he's so foolishly underestimated. The demolition is complete. The aftermath is not a victory parade. It's a quiet, methodical reclamation. In the days that follow Mark's collapse, the full scope of his ruin becomes clear. The hotel developers, spooked by the instability and the obvious legal turmoil, pull out of the deal with him. The industry press that he had invited to his coronation instead gets wind of the real story. The brilliant Mark Markham doesn't actually own his own firm. He tries to fight. His lawyer, the so-called shark, is completely outmaneuvered. The documents are ironclad. The holding company, the IP ownership, it's all legally unimpeachable. The injunction holds. Mark is legally barred from calling himself Markham Designs. He can't use the company's website. He can't show clients the portfolio of work he's spent his life creating, because that portfolio belongs to the company, and the company belongs to me. He is, in an instant, a man without a history, a famous architect with no proof of his fame. He attempts to start a new firm from scratch. But without the brand recognition and the body of work to back him up, he's just another architect. Clients are wary. His reputation is in tatters, tainted by the scandal. The story of his public breakdown and the ruthless, brilliant way his ex-wife seized control becomes a cautionary tale whispered at industry parties. And Chloe? She is gone. Vanished. The moment Mark's power and prestige evaporated, so did her love and loyalty. She saw him not as the charismatic winner she'd fallen for, but as a broken, defeated man with a mountain of legal bills and a toxic reputation. She had hitched her wagon to a star, and when the star fell from the sky, she cut it loose without a second thought. I hear through the grapevine that she moved back to her parents' house in another state. She is a footnote in a story that is no longer about her. Mark is forced back to the negotiating table, but this time, the dynamic is completely reversed. He is no longer the one dictating terms. He is the one begging. He needs something from me. He needs a settlement that doesn't leave him utterly destitute. Julian and I sit across from him and his lawyer. The swagger is gone. He looks tired and old. He won't look me in the eye. He is a ghost at his own funeral. We draft a new divorce agreement. I am not cruel. I don't take everything. I give him a settlement that is fair, but it is a fraction of the fortune he once commanded. It is based on his new reality, not his old one. I take the house. I take full ownership of the business and all its assets. I give him enough to start over, but not enough to ever be a threat again. He signs the papers without a word. His hand, the hand that once sketched skylines, shakes as he holds the pen. The final insult comes a few weeks later. My firm, which I have now officially taken over, gets a call. It's the developers from the luxury hotel project. They were impressed by my composure, by my obvious control of the situation. They were impressed by Julian's assessment of me as the actual owner they want to meet. I take the meeting. I don't bring an architect. I bring my CFO and my head of operations, the people who handle the boring stuff. I don't talk about grand visions. I talk about logistics, budget, and execution. I talk about stability and reliability. I show them that the genius of Markham Designs was never just one man's artistic flair. It was the solid, unseen foundation beneath it. They award me the contract. The biggest project in the company's history. My project. I rename the firm. I drop his name. It's simply Landmark Group now. It feels right. It's about the work, not the ego. I hire new, young, brilliant architects. The office, once a place of tension and betrayal, is now buzzing with a new kind of energy. A collaborative, respectful energy. Sometimes, late at night, when I'm alone in the house we once shared, the silence is deafening. There is a phantom limb, a space where 15 years of my life used to be. The victory is not without its scars. I had to destroy my life to save it. I had to become a person I never thought I would be. Cold, calculating, ruthless. I look at the woman in the mirror, the successful CEO of a thriving company, and I wonder if the heartbroken girl who ate instant noodles on the floor would recognize her. But the sadness is different now. It's not the suffocating fog of grief. It's a quiet, melancholy ache for something that was lost, something that, in the end, was perhaps never as real as I believed. I didn't just lose a husband. I lost an illusion. He wanted me to let go gracefully. I suppose in a way I did. I gracefully let go of the woman who would allow herself to be erased. I gracefully let go of the idea that my worth was tied to his success. And I gracefully stepped into the power that was mine all along. He collapsed because he built his world on a lie, and I was the one who finally decided to tell the truth. Building a life and having to tear it down to save yourself is a strange, hollow victory. If this story hit close to home, I'd love to hear your version of it. Thank you for being here with me. Subscribing helps bring more of these stories to light.